Reese from RMIT again, and today we're going to be talking about your rights to work and everything essential you need to know. So whether you have a job or you're looking for a job, you should probably make yourself aware of your employee entitlements and your rights. Just like I'm aware of the fact that I don't need to do this video. As a matter of fact, I'm leaving. Alright, don't get too sentimental on me. Now, so your rights are what you are entitled to when you work, or potentially will work. So it's best to do some research because there are a lot to get your head around. So we're not necessarily going to go through each individual rights that you will have, but what we will do is talk about where you can find your rights and who you can ask for. So a great place to start is your employee handbook. Now this will contain information not just around your code of conduct while you're working there, but more so about your entitlements and your rights. Now this book should have been given to you before you started work. You should always have access to it, either physically or online through your work intranet. Now, do not be afraid to ask. It is not like they're going to throw the book at you. Something else you can do is you can ask someone. Now you can do this whilst you're working or whilst you're looking for work. So you can always ask your fellow workmates, your managers, your team leaders, your supervisors, your senior members of staff or your bosses, and you can always ask your parents as well. And again, don't be afraid to ask. It's not like they're going to slap you for asking. And another place you can ask is your own human resources department. This is an internal department that deals with things like recruitment, training, performance, skills, potential, leadership. So basically, they deal with people. And people is you. Isn't that great? Now essentially, they should know what you're entitled to. And again, don't be afraid to ask them. It's what they're there for. Now that we've gone through who and where you can look for in terms of your rights, let's talk about organizations that you should be familiar with in terms of definitions of your rights, and also if things do tend to go awry with your employers. So the first organization we're going to talk about is the Fair Work Ombudsman, or as we'll call them today, FWO. The FWO is an independent statutory office, which means they're an independent legal body from the government. They work in the jurisdiction of the Fair Work Act of 2009, and this is a free service to all workers. So some of the things these guys do is they offer information about the Australian workplace relations system and education for fair work practice, rights and obligations. So this means they cover things like your pay, your leave, ending employment, employment entitlements, and awards and agreements. Their website has a lot of information about these, so I do recommend you go check it out. They also assess complaints about breaches in the workplace. They also assess litigating in some circumstances to enforce workplace laws and deter wrongdoing, and they also are there to build relations with unions, industry and stakeholders. The next organisation we're going to be talking about is the Fair Work Commission, or what we're going to call them, the FWCOM. You're probably wondering what the difference is between the FWO and the FWCOM. So, the similarities they have is that the FWCOM also works under the Fair Work Act of 2009, and that they are also an independent legal body to the government. However, their definition is that they are Australia's national workplace relations tribunal. So think of them as more of a court, and they deal with more serious issues. So they set minimum wages, they change and create awards, and they approve agreements, and they also act as an independent umpire if you've been unfairly dismissed. So the reasons you go to the FWCOM is that if you've been unfairly dismissed, discriminated, and if you've been bullied at work and you need an order to prevent this. So the next organisation we're going to be talking about is WorkSafe Victoria. So this is the state's health and safety regulator and the manager of Victoria's workers' compensation scheme. So their aim is to keep all workplaces healthy and safe and to deliver high quality care and treatment when workers are injured. So they deal with stuff like health and safety at work under OH&S laws, compensation and rehabilitations of injured workers, insurance and premium of workers and employers, explosive and dangerous goods, and high-risk equipment. So you'd go to these guys if you feel like your workplace is dangerous and needs to be reported. And last but not least, the Australian Human Rights Commission, or as we'll call them, ARIC? No, we'll call them ERIC, stuff it. ERIC is an independent third party which investigates complaints about discrimination and human rights breach. So they deal with more broader human rights. So this falls under the category of race discrimination, sex discrimination, age discrimination, LGBTI discrimination, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders social justice, asylum seekers and refugees rights, and children's rights. So you'd contact this organisation if your human rights have been breached. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and please check out the websites of all the organisations I've just mentioned. They're very helpful.